I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time, and I've always enjoyed popping open packs and testing my luck. I've spent years buying and selling cards and amassing a collection, but now, we throw it all away. This series aims to embody the ride, as nothing beats the feeling of pulling the one card you need or an expensive chase card that everyone's looking for. With $50 every other week, we have 3 goals: build a collection, crack packs, and win games using only sealed products. Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Restart! Hey, it's me, the man with the plan on episode 10. Yeah. Last time we got some really good pulls, and while I'm happy that we got both Appaloosa and Borreload Savage Dragon, we've run into the issue of straight up being unable to play Borreload Savage. We need a level 4 tuner, and because of that, I have to go back to searching for Zoroa. At most, we'll look for 1 to 2 more episodes, and if that doesn't work out, we can just continue looking through other sets. Another important card that I've been considering recently is Awakening of the Possessed Razen Ryu. I didn't really want to run it at first, but we kinda need an out to Dragoon, or other cards that have non-targeting or non-destruction protection. Worst case, a few episodes may continue to be reliant on the Megatins, but that's kind of to be expected. Hopefully I don't get bored of it. We have our regular $50 plus $8 from winning 4-1 last week, and a leftover $1.50, giving us a total of $59.50. The only issue with that is, you'll see in the video. Without further ado, let's pop open some packs. What do we do with this? So you know what's funny, right now it's like 4 in the morning and I can't sleep because I have to wake up really early to buy Pokemon cards. Let me pop open this box real quick. Yeah, so I don't really buy Pokemon cards, but my girlfriend and I saw a box over at Target, so I'm like, yo, let's buy this box. We buy it, and turns out getting it for retail is extremely rare, so I have to wake up early, go over there and buy more, not because I want to scalp them, but because I want to open more. Just to brag a little bit. Tell me that's not hot. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. But yeah, actually going back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. We have 1 box of Genesis Impact. Here's a big issue with this right now, right? I didn't get my Megatin that I ordered. So this was $43, which means we had about $16.50 left over, which would have been enough for 2 packs. But I didn't get the Megatin yet. So we have a bunch of money left over for next week, and maybe if we win a lot this week, and who knows? Let's see. I think we're just gonna be pushing through these really quickly. I'll keep the hollows over here. But my god, man. Let's see. Ninaruru. Kind of disappointed we had to drop that. If you don't know why I'm not really looking at any of the rares, it's because watch the rest of the series. We have opened this set a million times by now, and it's honestly getting annoying. I have 1 more box of Genesis Impact that I ordered. Okay, I have 1 box of Genesis Impact that I ordered, that I opened already, and then 2 extra boxes that I kept put aside for this series specifically, because they're really cheap right now. They're like 43 bucks a piece, and I was like, you know what, might as well buy out a few of them. If we get Zoroa in this box, then I don't even need to open a second box. How do I keep doing this? If we get Zoroa in this box. Rilliona! A second Rilliona! Okay, you know what? I don't regret going back into this box, actually. The Evil Twin Lila is kind of useless right now, but a second Rilliona can definitely add to some consistency. The concern with that is we already got 2 of our Ultras, so can we get Zoro out of the 3rd one, please? Live Twin Kisakill. You know how many rares I have now? I actually have a massive box. You guys saw it in my last video of cards that I was using for this series. And it's all Genesis Impact cards. I'm starting to get tired of Genesis Impact. As much as I like this set, I'm just opening it every week. I'm starting to really consider sealed only Drytrons, or at least building it as like a joke deck on the side. Because of the fact that we've pulled so many of their core cards, it's like, oh, the cheapest collector's rare in the set. Beat Cop from the Underworld, CR. I mean, collector's rare is a collector's rare. I'm not going to be upset about that. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I should be happier right now. Let me grab a few sleeves for everything we pulled. Okay, Beat Cop. I actually did want this for the sole reason that it's so cheap. I feel like cheap cards just tend to go up a lot. Because, first of all, every single card we pulled just now is waifu text. Like, these are all relatively attractive female cards, so they will all go up. We have half the box left. You know how upsetting that is right now? I think we don't get any more ultras, but we already blew half the budget for this week on this box, so we have to open it. And even though Beat Cop is a very cheap collector's rare, it's still a collector's rare. I'm still glad to see it. And it's still the middle of the night, so I'm still tired. Maybe I could get a second collector's rare. Crowley. I mean, one thing you do have to enjoy about the side sets is the fact that none of the cards are mapped. But the issue with that is that on one side, we already got all the good cards, so we can't get any more ultras. I mean, there's always, like, I've gotten 3 ultras and then a collector's rare out of this set before, but the likelihood of that happening a second time, yeah. Drytron Alpha Thuban. Do I incorporate a Drytron engine? I feel like that's scummy. Oh! I just turned into Donkey Kong. What? Oh, this is the greatest box ever. Every single time we open Genesis Impact, it exceeds the last time. What the hell? I was just making fun of this set for me never getting anything good. And then I get the exact card we're looking for right after pulling a collector's rare and a second copy of a great card. Oh boy. We got Zorua, the Magistus of Flame. Not an expensive card, but we needed this. You know how happy I am? Oh my god, what? That's actually insane. That's actually insane. I don't think we get any more ultras unless... I don't know, you want to give me one more ultra? But, no, okay. I don't think we're getting another ultra, but... we finally got it! And we got a second Lilla, which is honestly a pretty expensive card. I think it's like $15 right now. Drytron Fafnir. Last pack. We already got our 3 ultras, so I think we're already done here. Beat Cop from the Underworld. Look at that. Beat Cop from the Underworld. I feel like we really just bum rushed this opening. Like, okay, so honestly, these pulls are amazing. These 2 specifically are amazing. Like, I'm very happy to see this. These 2 are concerning. For the sole reason that we're not going to play Beat Cop. We don't have space in the extra deck, and we just straight up don't need it. We don't need a second Lilla. If it was a second Kiss a Kill, I would have considered it, because that would have added a bit more consistency to the Live Twin engine. But after pulling Zorua at this point, we might actually have to straight up drop the Live Twin engine. I'm going to do a little bit of testing before I make any massive changes to the deck, but let me do a bit of testing. I'll put together a deck and I will cut ahead to show you guys what we can do here. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. I don't know how many of you guys will not enjoy the fact that we're dropping the Evil Twin engine. The whole engine is going down the drain. Both Live Twin Lillas, both Live Twin Kiss Kills, and both of the Sign Up Minings we pulled are pretty much unnecessary. at this point. A big reason that I ran it is because of the fact that our only normal summons were the Endymion or the Luna. But now that we have Zorua, that pretty much gives us another normal summon, and we would pretty much draw into Luna or Endymion pretty much every game anyway. Also, we've been running a 41 card deck because I completely forgot somehow, so we're cutting that back down. Also, right now, Evil Twins are worth a good amount, so it might make sense to sell these. Might make sense to hold on to the Signet Minings, but I don't think we're going to be playing Evil Twins even in a future deck. This is honestly a huge change, and it's crazy to see how much the more our deck progresses, the more it kind of regresses at the same time. We're putting back the third Possessed Partnerships because that's able to actually bring out Zorua, because he is in fact a 1500 defense spellcaster. There was another card that I considered bringing back, which was Ichirin. This does work if you have a 1500 defense monster on board, but the main reason that I don't actually want to run this card is just we're not going to keep Zorua on board. Unless our opponent like ashes or something, there's no reason Zorua is staying on board. And I mean, if our opponent ashes, this would negate it, but it's pretty much a one-time use negate. You either it gets used while Zorua is on board and your opponent uses Ash or Gamma or whatever, or it just doesn't get used because Possessed Partnership is the only way to bring back another card. I considered it. I think Secret Village is still a better card than this is, but it's a good callback, I guess. So the thing is, at this point, since we're dropping the entire Evil Twin engine, most likely we're going to be selling the actual Evil Twin cards, and I will be doing it in my Discord, so make sure to keep an eye on that, because every single one of these cards that I'm planning to sell, which most likely these 6 are going to be done over Discord. So if you're looking to buy it, and most likely I'll let people decide on the prices, it'll be 60-70%, something like that. But the cards we're putting in, first of all, Borreload Savage. Obviously, if we're running the Zorua, we're gonna run the Borreload Savage. This is where I'm kind of concerned. We had an extra slot, and I considered putting Naruru back into the extra deck, but I just thought, you know what, why not? I can't really think of any opportunities for Naruru to come back, and I like this card. Like this has won me games. I'm not kidding. This locals games, obviously. I'm not saying like you can bring this to a regionals and just win, but it's not a bad card. The 2 Solemns they used to do a lot for us back when we first started, and having an extra form of interruption might be pretty useful, along with the newly improved addition of a third Possessed Partnerships that we're able to run because we run the one Zorua. And we're putting in the extra Liliana and the extra Zorua. This is actually an insane box. Like, no joke, if this had a second Zorua in it, it would have been even better, but funny enough, I ordered a second box of Genesis Impact that I'm going to go open right after this, but these are the changes we're making. I'm going to do one quick deck profile because we haven't done that in a while, plus it's episode 10, why not, right? But I'm rambling, give me a minute and I will sleeve everything up and get back to you. So guys, it's finally happened. We're back to good old Magistus Charmers. For the main deck, of course, 1 of each familiar possessed, 3 copies of Fairy Tail Luna, 3 copies of Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery, 2 copies of Crowley, the Magistus of Grimoires, 2 copies of Riliona now that we have them, and our key card that will very rarely come up. If we draw into Trismegistus and Endymion, that might be huge because that can get us Zorua on board, but we'll see how it goes. We've got our one-ofs being Shatana, Hat Tricker, Nefarious or Archfiend, and Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness. Then we've got our double Droll, we've got our double Phantasme, our 1 Nibiru, and our 1 Effect Veiler. Next to go into the spells. Triple Spirit Charmers, of course, this card is still amazing. Double Trismegistus, because now we have 2 ways to search it out. 1 copy of Magistus Invocation, 1 copy of Awakening of the Possessed, and then Terraforming with Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which is still an amazing engine, and it'll probably be a lot more consistent now that we don't run the Live Twin engine. The way that Time Thief Redoer will completely kill us is 3 copies of Possessed Partnerships, double Solemn Warning, and 1 Unpossessed. I'm really looking forward to, like, we've made so many changes to the deck today, and I'm really happy that in just one episode we've just changed the entire functionality of the deck. We don't have to rely on the live twins anymore. We've got our 1 copy of Artemis, 1 copy of Iwas, and 1 copy of Vahram. Now that we can actually bring out Vahram, though probably not as often as we're going into Warlord Savage, but this card, when it's destroyed, destroys all face-up cards your opponent controls. So overall, like, great card. It's not amazing, but it can probably help us in a situation. I just can't think of what that situation is. We've got our Nightmare package. We probably won't be going into it as much without the Live Twin engine, because that allowed us to make this very consistently. But it's good to have it, because why not? We've got Proxy F Magician. This card still helps a lot. The only reason we still have Transcode Talker in here is just because I don't have an alternative to put in. I actually think it makes more sense to just have this as a generic Link 3. Either way, we never really use its effect. The only reason we ever used it is to get a little bit of extra damage on board, so it doesn't hurt to keep it around, but I think I'll probably replace it sometime soon. It's just not that useful. Our 1 copy of Appaloosa, which is still an amazing pull, and I really think this is going to help us out a lot. Our 5-headed Link Dragon, which, I mean, it's there. I'm not going to consider it like Transcode Talker because this is actually useful, but what's really useful is Borreload Savage Dragon, which we can actually play now. I'm not going to say like, hey, we're going to be pulling it and using it every single time, but we've got the consistency now. Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. I'm going to read it off because a lot of people probably don't know what it actually does. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish the monster, which, by the way, Dragoon, that's an out for Dragoon. If this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster, destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, it gains attack equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster. Then it can make a second attack during the battle phase. Like, you can't tell me it's not a decent card, at least. We've got our Toad package and then the 101. I'm really happy with how this deck's coming along. Like, I actually think not only will this be more fun, it's a lot more consistent. And I just realized you can see the little microphone stand over here. Not microphone stand, the camera stand over here. Sorry about the camera weenie that's been popping out the entire time, but what else is there to say? I want to play this deck. I feel just as passionate now that we actually made some huge changes, and from next episode on, we could actually start going into other sets and see what other options we have. But for now, we have games to do, so let's play some games. I wanted to say, by the way, that I ordered another box in case we didn't pull Zoro out of this one, and I got absolutely nothing from it. It just so happened that the box that we opened on camera was the one that had the Zoroa. So yeah, these cards are all going straight into the trash where they belong. I got about $10 worth of cards from this one. Whatever. We got some awesome pulls. Let's play some games. Match 1, and we're bringing back a classic for our big 1-0 episode, Trap Tricks. We lost like hell to this deck early in the series, and my friend retired it because having a guaranteed loss every episode just would not be very fun. But it's time now to see how we stack up against it. We win Rock, Paper, Scissors and avoid the Toad combo in order to keep spellcasters on board for the Secret Village. We have a decent set of interruptions, and Trap Trick Sarah can't stop herself from having her summon negated. On our opponent's turn, he sets 4 and passes, and we activate Unpossessed just to make sure that our opponent can't respond on our turn when we use it. We use Crowley to re-equip Artemis to get the search, and our opponent attempts to use Iron Dragon Teyamaton to pop, but we solve it and get our search. We use Rilliona to get Invocation and Fuse using the Artemis in our area that's in hand. Our opponent attempts to Floodgate Iwas, but we chain its effect to equip it to Artemis, allowing us to attack for some extra damage. Our opponent now uses Tiamaton the next turn after using Shade Brigantine to fill up the middle of the board, which was very big-brained, and we pop it with Awakening of the Possessed to stop its destruction effect from going off. With no outs, we take Game 1. Game 2, our opponent makes Sarah and sets 3 to pass. On our turn, we summon Asa, which immediately gets met with a Floodgate Trap Hole. Unfortunately, on our opponent's turn, he makes Penistag, which allows the monster linked to it to do piercing damage, and we already know the Utopian line of play that would end us, so we slash FF. In Game 3, we summon Luna and use Crowley to discard Hita and special him out. We use Spiritual Arts to add the 2 trap cards and make Iwas, then equip Iwas with Artemis to give us a search for Zoroa. Our opponent sets 4 and summons Mantis, and we fire off partnerships to destroy it before it's linked into Sarah. We use Artemis to get Rilliona, then use Twin Twisters to pop 2 back row, and our opponent fires off as well. losing 3 cards but clearing my board. We summon Zorua and equip him with Iwas, but for some reason I don't even consider the possibility of synchro summoning into Borreload Savage, because this was my first match after getting it. Using Dionaea, our opponent uses the Utopia combo to do 7,500 damage to us, but no life points matter except for the last one. Unpossessed brings our win and we draw Denko Sekka, which is an amazing card to see, but not as helpful this late into the game. We make number 101 and steal Utopia, then attack for some damage. At this point, we pretty much have the win secured as long as our opponent does not draw Parallel Exceed, the only card in the deck that can special summon itself at this point. I feel like we're cursed to always lose round 1, but I refuse to go 0-2 again and continue the streak. Match 2 and we're up against a test deck of Shaddoll Live Twins. We start, but we're met with Droll, so we're forced to end with Partnerships, Area, and Awakening of the Possessed on board, and a Nibiru in hand. Our opponent does the Live Twin combo, but doesn't actually complete it, giving us the opportunity to pop the Kiss-a-Kill with Partnerships, and giving us another body on board. Putting the final nail in the coffin for our evil twin engine. Goodbye. We use Luna and Awakening of the Possessed, our favorite combo, to fill up an almost complete Charmer line and get the OTK. I sure am glad that I bought the Osso rarity bump just for this. Game 2, our opponent accidentally summons Discount Zephyr Pilica in attack mode and Lilla, which doesn't give anything except destruction protection. We use Spirit Charmers right away, discarding Solemn, and our opponent chains Schism to bring out Winda, and we force the destruction protection on it, destroying Wendigo and Lilla and doing a fair chunk of damage. Our opponent uses Lilla to make Link Disciple, and we use Phantasmate because we can. Our opponent suicides because they accept the loss at this point, and we do the most over-the-top thing ever. With a board of 5 different attribute monsters, we finally make our 5-headed Link Dragon, nuking our opponent's board and taking the match. Sadly, I think both decks just don't have quite good interaction because of the Live Twin restrictions. Don't flame our opponent here because they're deck testing, and quite frankly, I will take the win. Match 3 is Assembled Nightingale OTK. Realizing what our opponent is doing, we stop the buff to Nightingale with Toad to prevent getting OTK'd, and our opponent does a fair bit of damage and then passes turn. On our turn, we use Spirit Charmers to get our safest lineup, and summon Toad, then Rilliona to search the invocation. We fuse for Iwas then, and then we steal Nightingale, and in the end, end up stealing our opponent's win condition and using it for ourselves. Game 2, we do our regular combo with Endymion, but draw into Terraforming off of his draw effect, getting us the Spell Lock and a Toad, along with Partnership set. Sadly, we couldn't pop off Partnerships right away to lock down his spells, so our opponent uses Where Art Thou. Then, being the Yu-Gi-Oh player that I am, I don't read his card and our Secret Village gets bounced. Since we could just negate whatever he does with Toad, he goes into Boral Sword and beats over Toad and Zorua. Luckily, since we have Bahamut Shark, we could just remake the Toad the next turn, and use Unicorn to bounce the Boral Sword. Our opponent attempts to make Linkuriboh to kill Toad and stall the game a little bit, but we use Partnerships to pop it, then completely overkill with our final board. Match 4 and it's up against Psyframes, and if there's anything that this series has taught me, it's that I must absolutely never know what I'm going to play against. We use Luna to search and summon Crowley by discarding another Luna. We attempt to use Trismegistus because the area could help us make Toad, but it gets discount gammaed. We pass and our opponent only has 4 cards in his starting hand. He sets 3 and passes, and we draw into our third copy of Luna, which we ignore and summon Area. We attempt to use Bahamut Shark to summon Toad, and since our opponent plans to use Demise of the Land twice, and we might be forced into a Mystic Mine, we negate the second one by tributing off Toad, setting the card for ourselves. After a few turns of absolutely nothing, our opponent draws into Signet Mining, which we droll, then we pop his field spell, then bounce his Link, and then we bounce his damn token, taking the game. Game 2, we have a very watery hand, and our opponent uses Goods to send the trap, going into the Gadget combo, which gives him a Lambda and a Linguriboh on board. Luckily, since it's Linguriboh and not Linkuriboh, we just beat over the Lambda and set up a board, since our opponent can't really respond while he controls a monster. Sadly, we get Nibiru'd, but it doesn't really matter since our token has 4k attack and defense. Our opponent makes a second Lambda on his turn and summons a token in the backline, so naturally we just beat over the Lambda again and continue our plays. We now have 2 Omni Negates and a pop, so this game is pretty much over, and we are now 3-1. Final match against Sealed Only Blue Eyes, a ballsy deck that's actually pretty decent with the new support in Legendary Duelist Season 2. But where we lost to the Pokemonarch, who was twice as many episodes ahead as we are, Demurrer Tundra here is going to fight a deck with twice as many episodes ahead as he is. I don't think I said the grammar there properly. We see a Maiden with Eyes of Blue come down, and that's literally it. We use Secret Village, and with 4 spells in his hand, do we really need to say more? In Game 2, our opponent has a slightly more playable hand and sets up a Linkuriboh and a Blue Eyes on board. We summon Rilliona and use Trismegistus to bring out Win instead of Endymion because I had a brain fart. We attack to get rid of Linkuriboh and make 101 Shark to steal Blue Eyes, having a decent interruption through Possessed Partnerships. Our opponent actually makes a decent board and summons Blue Eyes twice in one turn, but it isn't enough as we popped it once and protected against destruction the second time. On our turn, we build a huge board and attack, taking the game and ending us off at 4-1. Going 4-1 multiple episodes in a row, I am very excited. You guys don't even understand the pure enjoyment that I had with this new build, and in terms of combo pieces and extenders, the deck is so consistent that with only a single copy of Zoro, we still went into Borreload Savage plenty of times this time around. Honestly, if we went into Borreload Savage for the first game, we probably could have won, but sadly, I didn't process the new deck changes yet. It's funny, the episode that I ended up taking a regular week to make instead of the 2 that I said I would, ended up being a lot longer than the others. In case you watch this content, I'd also recommend my other stuff as I upload multiple videos this week, and also if you're confused why it was only 1 week instead of 2, it's because I had nothing really to sell and the other stuff I ordered wasn't going to come in time. Moving on, I've got a few ideas in mind. First of all, we pulled a lot of good cards, and since we're dropping the Evil Twin engine, we have literally half a dozen or more cards to sell, including the Beat Cop, both Lilla's, Kiss-a-Kill, and I'm guessing the Signet Minings as well, because at this point we just don't really need them anymore, contrary to what I thought before. Most likely for the prices of the cards, I'm just going to stick to about 70%. I feel like that's a fair price to sell it at for other people, and it gives us a fair amount of money, and that's about what you guys normally vote for anyway. We also didn't spend a chunk of what we had for today, so we have a lot for the next episode. It will take me 2 weeks because my locals is actually sold out of Mega Tins, which is why we didn't get any packs for this episode. We can still go into the tins for a few staples, and at this point our ratios are honestly fine. We don't really need a lot of cards anymore, and we could just use generic extra deck filler, and go into Phantom Rage for Razin Ryu, and Mega Tins or Maximum Gold for random staples. Overall, I had a lot of fun this episode. It's way more exciting when huge changes happen, and we get some insane pulls. And we didn't even spend the entire budget. Make sure to keep your eye on the Discord to see how you can get your hands on a card that you might want. I considered only making each of these individual restarts last until episode 10, but because Charmers didn't get the same amount of funding or love as future decks will with the $50 per episode, we'll keep them around for a few more episodes, especially because I'm really enjoying the changes to the deck. I haven't asked a question in a while, so how's this? When we move into the next sealed only archetype, what do you want it to be? As I've hinted before, Machina's kind of hit close to home for me for a few reasons that I would explain if I actually built them, but I've also been interested in the new Ice Barrier structure deck. Of course, there is the third option, where I could buy a booster box and build a deck out of random packs. But I haven't decided on what box because the only interesting archetypes to me would be Tri-Brigade from Phantom Rage or Spriggans from Blazing Vortex. I'm not interested in Virtual Worlds because, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to play that deck. And no, I'm not doing War Rocks. I would rather commit Evoke Persona. Anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like or maybe consider subscribing to see more. Have a great day and or night, and goodbye.